Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Marketing and Leadership Series with Kevin and Craig, where we add value to people's lives, happening every Thursday on ebusradio.com. You can catch the Lunchtime series on all major podcast channels. And joining me as per usual, marketing and communications expert and co-host Craig Paisley. How you doing, Craig?
Kevin, I'm well, thanks. Yeah, we are. Second month of the year.
Yeah, no, I'm still surprised that we're here, and I'm like, this is our basically our second season, right? Our series 2.
Yeah, nicely put. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm excited to what the conversations can be, and we're going to have loads of marketing conversations. We're going to have some leadership involved in between that. So looking forward to switching it up and what's to come from that. But Craig, we had a wonderful conversation with Grace Mumo, the founder and CEO of Luxury Exclusive last week. What I appreciated about that conversation was the extent of Grace's passion for the continent and her vision to create a platform to connect the richness of the people and culture of the continent. It was such a fascinating conversation. I've never heard anyone do this before.
Absolutely, Kevin. And Grace has put a lot of effort and passion into her vision coming to life, particularly through the development of the Inspire Exclusives virtual mall. And as we learned last week, Kevin, this is a platform where Grace wants all of Africa's luxury brands, exclusive brands, to be showcased and to be made available to the world. It's a big vision, it's a big project, but potentially really big rewards for those brands that are building out their own virtual stores within this Inspire Exclusive virtual mall. And yeah, Grace is an early adopter of tech, and with a clear understanding of the world of marketing, media, and e-commerce. I think that we're in for something special once the virtual mall is fully developed and occupied by Africa's leading luxury brands, as her vision aims for.
Yeah, so it's a call to action, right, for all the luxury brands in Africa and South Africa to reach out and to go and check it out, because it's a place to showcase your brand internationally, and people will get to see you and meet your brand in a virtual world. It's a fascinating approach to the next conversation we're having, right? And you're going to be telling us all about it, Craig. So what do we have in store today?
Yeah, Kevin, thanks. And as I mentioned last week, with Grace's intro to the concept of a virtual mall, I thought it might be appropriate to really gain a bit of a deeper insight to the understanding of the concept of the metaverse and what is it and what is the role that it plays in the marketing mix. And it's a big concept, it's a big realm of thinking, and there's a lot to get to understand around it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation, because I have very little information and understanding about it, and whether it exists, and if it even does, like, and how does it function, and what's it about.
Absolutely, Kevin. And you're not alone in that statement. There's saying a little knowledge is a dangerous thing was definitely enough to get me needing to do some deep investigations on the topic. And I have to say that there's probably still a week's worth of reading, revisiting, and just reviewing all of the articles that I came across before I really can get a full understanding on the topic. But that said, I did manage to learn quite a bit about the topic, and there's some really key and simple insights that I have available for us to share today, Kevin. So to open with, it goes without saying that we're absolutely at a crossroads in our lives. The COVID-19 pandemic has fundamentally changed our behavior. You know that, from a work and personal life balance point of view, to how we engage with brands, to how we communicate with each other. The pressure of the past 2.5 years has definitely resulted in many people looking to escape these realities, the likes of the mass resignation, and the seemingly insurmountable pressure that we've been subjected to is really forcing a lot of this. On the positive side, the rapid development of technology, digital tech, during this period has actually brought the likes of these new virtual worlds a step closer. And it's definitely allowed us to enter a new world of fiction and escapism, a place where we can be something or someone different, a place where we can actually experience life differently and build out this world the way that we want it to be and live in it the way we want to live, all virtually, obviously, Kevin. And
Yeah.
this is really where the term metaverse comes to life, and it brings with it the ability to envisage and experience life in this new reality. Quite exciting.
Correct. So what exactly is the metaverse?
Okay, Kevin, according to Wikipedia, the metaverse is a fictional world. It's a network of 3D virtual worlds that are focused on social connection. In futurism and science fiction, the term is often described as a hypothetical iteration of the internet as a single universal virtual world that is facilitated by the use of virtual and augmented reality headsets. And as you know, we've covered AR and VR extensively in some of our shows in season 1, and the clear understanding of how that technology brings another layer of experience to the engagement you're having with your handset and or screen. So
Yeah.
there's a really great article I found on academy.binance.com titled "What is the Metaverse?" published on 21 September 2021 and updated now recently on the 14th of Jan 2022. The article provides a really simplistic definition and explanation of the metaverses. So just to read from the two opening paragraphs of the article, Kevin, we get a clear understanding here. So it's a concept of a persistent online 3D universe that combines these multiple digital virtual spaces. And you can think of it as a virtual iteration of the internet, where the metaverse allows workers, at least allows users to work, allows you to meet, allows you to play games, and it actually allows you to socialize together in these 3D constructed spaces. It isn't fully in existence yet, but some of the platforms contain metaverse-like elements already, and video gaming really is at the front end of it, and it currently provides the closest to the ultimate metaverse experiences on offer at the moment, where developers have really pushed the boundaries of what a game is. And Kevin, in game, you're hosting concerts, events, virtual economies, building out virtual buildings and things like that. So the gaming world has really been at the front of this. So whilst I don't play online games, I had a look at some of those referenced in the various articles, and I must tell you, Kevin, I'm absolutely amazed by what's been developed. But key in these investigations for me is really how brands are ever present in game and in these virtual worlds. But we're definitely going to touch on that a little bit later.
What's interesting is, a while back, I remember a conversation about the AI conversation around those jobs that haven't yet been discovered or created that we would still come across. And smack bang right there, creating the jobs are now being created where people would have to simulate and create a virtual world would be, you could tap into. So it's really crazy. We're living in the future, right?
It's a powerful point you make there as well, because now overlay AI to that, and really get to take a deep dive to understand the nature of the worlds that various people are building and expecting, and bring AI to the fore to help create those virtual worlds. Really fascinating to see what the end point is in many instances.
Yeah. So great. When was the concept of the metaverse actually developed? Because when we've been playing in that realm for the last 10, 15 years, and I know that people have mentioned the headsets and the thing, and you could have a meeting with someone who's standing inside your office, kind of thing, and that idea of it looks like a bit of Star Wars, but like when was this created?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kevin, because I must tell you, I had absolutely no idea of the origins until I read up on this. But here's this for you. So the concept of the metaverse was actually developed in a science fiction novel titled Snow Crash, which was written by Neil Stephenson in 1992. And can you believe it? 30 years ago. 30 years ago, Kevin. The main character is a pizza delivery driver, and he hangs out in this online virtual fantasy world. And the idea of the metaverse is gotten updates in the 2011 Real Player One novel, which people gather in an Oasis metaverse. And this was the critical moment that inspired the launch of Facebook's Oculus Rift virtual headset, which really allowed this metaverse to literally come to life. So the gaming development has led another layer of technology development that just enhances the experience. An important point to note, that Kevin, is that Neil Stephenson actually has distanced himself from any metaverse plans, and he notes that his story Snow Crash was really just developed as a concept and not as a long-term virtual reality world. Well, for him anyway, because as we know, it's expanded on from there. So, just 30 years ago, out of the realm thinking, and he had no intention that this would become a key component of life moving forward.
Yeah.
There are other stories and movies that have actually expanded the concept even further, and there's one that I've watched, all three of the editions to date, and that is the likes of The Matrix, which I'm sure you might even have watched as well.
Yeah.
And then a hugely popular cult movie, Tron, which is a 2010 American science fiction film directed by Joseph Kosinski. And Kevin, there again, there's another really great quote that I came across this time on cnet.com, titled "We're all on the hollow deck now, VR headset or not," and published by Scott Stein on 15th of Jan. The quote goes as follows: 2 years of pandemic have prompted us to redefine virtual. No one's perfected what the future will look like yet, but a rethinking of what it means to gather virtually and at scale is underway, and lots of people want to define it. Quite a true and powerful statement, that.
Yeah, and I'm all about, humans and how that affects humans. While you're speaking to this point now, I'm kind of thinking, I wonder what effect that would have eventually on, you could go into your virtual world, and I don't know, you have loads of friends that you can hang out with and do stuff with in your virtual world, or you set it up so that everyone who chats to you is always nice. You don't have any problems there, right?
Yeah.
I think that could do good for some people.
Get some sort of mood color enhancers and sentiment layers in there. So if the technology is picking up a particular mood color, you're banished from coming into the room that day. That would be quite amazing. So always surrounding yourself with positivity or like-mindedness. Quite a powerful thought there, I must admit.
So you've also mentioned the gaming and the movies, which I suppose is probably the most obvious reference, Craig. What other metaverse experiences are there that we?
Yeah, another good question, Kevin. As you say, we're definitely all attuned to the likes of movies and gamings, but there are many other references. The sensoriumxr.com blog post titled "How to Enter the Metaverse: A Step-by-Step Guide" introduces us to three other metaverse experiences, Kevin. These being corporate, the one that we talk about quite a bit, entertainment, definitely have touched on that, and then, believe it or not, real estate. Real estate, probably the absolute antithesis of what the virtual world is, and this I found incredibly fascinating. So let's have a quick look at what defines these three experiences, Kevin. So the first experience is described as corporate, and as I mentioned, we've touched on the issues of moving to remote work, now caught in this hybrid space on the back of the COVID-19 pandemic a number of times, and working online is a reality for most of us. So organizations are able to rebuild their businesses and their corporate offices in the virtual world. And the metaverse would just be a continuation of that. And Facebook's holding company Meta has already introduced us to the Horizons Workroom offering, where people around the world can actually come together in that work environment in these new virtual work rooms. Microsoft's also developing a similar offering, and it goes without saying that we can only expect more and more companies to try and send their workers into the metaverse. And it'll be interesting to see now that we've touched on the fact that real estate and property is one of the experiences, will we see property development companies stepping into the fore and bringing a new layer of prop tech to the market? There's obviously prop tech that's running buildings, facilities management, and the likes, and biometrics and access control. But will they actually now, with the inherent understanding of the effectiveness of space utilization, start developing their own virtual worlds and their own virtual buildings? Be really interesting point, but we'll expand on that a bit later as well. And the next experience is described as entertainment, something we're all too familiar with. And what you do in your own time is already looking very different in the metaverse, Kevin. And interestingly, for good and bad as it may be, because Meta's already needing to put some controls in place to mandate these behaviors offline. So from socializing with real life workers and making friends with AI-driven avatars to watching your favorite performers headline a virtual concert, the metaverse takes entertainment to an incredibly dynamic new level. And again, one of the key brands here, Galaxy, the Sensorium Galaxy, is a metaverse that focuses out of this world experience with large musical offerings appealing to a broad base of fans, and additional content hubs and worlds for meditation and self-actualization practices. So strong brands being attached to these meta universes and really creating deep layers that talk to multiple needs for many folk in these environments.
Craig, I've already come up with a concept for this. You could create an entire business where you could have front row seats to watch Adele performing in Hollywood, on stage, and you could be standing with your, I don't know, with your virtual Oculus looking glasses, and you could just be in the front row of having an Adele concert. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Yeah, absolutely. And concerts is really the one area where this proposition is coming to life, where folk who can't make it to the real concert are getting an opportunity to experience it in this unique, amazing digital world with multiple layers of experience that come with it as well.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And then the third point, Kevin, and this as a former practicing architect, I can absolutely relate to this final experience, Kevin, and the experience described as real estate. What I appreciate about this particular experience is that real world property ownership is definitely out of the reach for the majority of the planet. But owning a plot of virtual land could prove to be quite a profitable venture for some, but also quite a fun and entertaining way, because you can build, develop, design, and create your home experience in a way that would never be possible in the real world, just from a practicality point of view and from a cost point of view as well. So definitely something that I'm quite interested in. I'm going to do a bit more research on that. And proof of this, again, is the fact that a virtual estate sold for $2.4 million on Decentraland, which is a 3D virtual browser-based platform. Here, virtual users can buy virtual plots of land in the platform as NFTs. And take note of this, the platform was open to the public in February 2020 and is overseen by the non-profit Decentraland Foundation. So folk were already in the platform buying property, and through that there now needs to be a regulatory body which is mandating and monitoring the behavior and approach to what happens in this amazing Decentraland world.
That's insane.
It is. And another example is Sandbox. Sandbox is quite a popular proposition in the space. It's best known for its two smash mobile hits, the Sandbox, which was launched in 2011, and the Sandbox Evolution some 5 years later in 2016. And take a note of this, Kevin. This is fascinating. Combined, those two smash mobile hits generated over 40 million downloads across iOS and Android. So, the virtual world is real when you think of it in that context.
Yeah, amazing. I didn't even know about Sandbox, and I'm totally going to Google all of this today. But Craig, you've provided us a great introduction to the metaverse. How it's gained popularity and relevance in our lives. How the how the world is online gaming has to a large degree shaped what the metaverse is doing today. But with that in mind, what is the importance of the metaverse for marketers? Is it meta and is it meta? I must just clarify that as well.
Yeah, Kevin, it's a good question. I reference it as metaverse. But yes, the world of online gaming has definitely shaped what the metaverse is today. There's no doubt about that. And I think it's the real burning question for 2022, Kevin. What is the importance of metaverse for marketers?
Yeah.
So a quick answer to this would be a quote from the article Why Metaverse Will Reshape Digital Marketing, posted to adweek.com on the 6th of Jan 2022. And the article notes the following, a simple paragraph that states this. The metaverse enables marketers to inject their brands into the experience in a way that makes each user the star of the show. Instead of seeing famous actors, models, or rap artists hawking the latest styles, in the metaverse, a clothing or fashion brand, for example, can allow each of us to try on their latest looks. And it really places the consumer and user at the center of the brand in every instance. And that in itself is probably the most powerful opportunity to bring you closer to a brand engagement than you'd ever experience outside of actually purchasing and having it in your presence.
And this is really where I see that the likes of Grace Mumo has inspired exclusive virtual mall coming to life.
Absolutely, Kevin, no doubt about it. Yeah, so your question's also covered in a number of other articles and white papers, but the one that really stood out for me is titled, Why the Metaverse is Marketing's Next Big Thing. The article was published to Forbes.com, one of my favorite go-to platforms, on the 21st of December 2021, written by Andrew Faridani, a Forbes Council member and president and CEO of Beeswax Web, and it was posted on the article, which really drew me in deep into the richness of the content that he was actually able to share. And it opens with the following two paragraphs. One of the biggest new platforms for marketing became very clear during the pandemic: metaverse marketing. For those not familiar with the actual term, metaverse is defined as an immersive digital environment populated by virtual avatars representing actual people. Though other industries are creating and building metaverses, the gaming industry is the first to truly grasp and take advantage of the potential. And the brands that are early adopters in realizing the potential of the metaverse are the ones that will see the most return. And there it is. It reiterated in a formal published article that the brands that are making their way into the metaverse in the right way, obviously, with the right intent and with the right brand messages, are really the brands that are going to have the stickiness and potentially see the greatest return. But what was key is the key focus of the article interrogates why brands are actually marketing in the metaverse, Kevin. So let's just have a look at a few pointers here. So obviously there are many reasons why marketers are moving to the metaverse. It's new. It's obviously a faster connection, and it exists to support growing environments. And the faster connections, not just around tech enabled, but a faster connection with the brand engagement as well. The most important reason may be that marketers actually want to target and keep millennials and Gen X up to date and engaged with their products and technologies. And the metaverse definitely allows them to target these audiences in these new ways. And these brands know where to find these particular audiences. Based on the engagement these brands are getting, Kevin, it's definitely evident that these strategies are working, with the biggest metaverses actually offering previously unattainable opportunities to brands that can now be presented in the digital world. An example of this is Vans, the skateboard shoe brand. I'm sure you're aware of it. They launched a virtual skate park in Roblox, and it lets players try out new tricks. They can earn points for redeeming in virtual stores, and they can actually customize their avatars with the different apparel and shoes and kit that they bring into their lifestyle. What's great here is the Vans brand executive team believes that the online metaverse is the best place to build their brand awareness among the core demographic of, take note, 13 to 35-year-olds, Kevin. So really talking right down the age group in these worlds, and getting brand buy-in and association and understanding from teen years. But here's a staggering fact, Kevin. The Vans brand has noted that the online park has in excess of 48 million visitors to date.
Jeez.
1% of that is bringing you, nearly 500,000 new potential customers if you're on a 1% conversion. This type of engagement, the bigger the brands, the bigger the budgets, you can definitely see they're going to start coming into the metaverse. So brands can also be much more creative in the digital space than in the real world, and not to mention a much bigger, more engaged audience available as well, Kevin.
Yeah, it's amazing, Craig. As you're speaking, my brain's like racking and kind of going, how we shop, how we engage with customers, how we. It's the potential of where this could go is kind of endless, because as long as you're creative, you could create experiences, you could create insights, and one of the things that come to mind is you could use Google Earth, the mapping system, and kind of go, oh, well, here's a plot of land, and this is what I think I could do with this plot of land, and get investors to come invest in your virtual property. And there's loads of stuff. It's crazy.
It's limitless. It really is limitless. One of the risks, though, is that there's just this disparate engagement and creation of it. Is that you can do it for your own personal satisfaction, but really when we talk about moderation at the AI level, I think there needs to be multiple layers of moderation of actually what's happening in the metaverse. And there are incidents of sexual harassment that are already coming about in some of the metaverses that are being developed. So whilst we have these great fantasies to go and build out our visions, we really need to be cognizant of our behavior as a human race, and it's really not the best at the best of times, to tell the honest truth. So it's about how do we bring that to the fore and just be cognizant of what these new worlds we're envisaging look like and what they do to us in our mental states as well.
Absolutely.
So Kevin, in addition to understanding why brands are marketing in the metaverse, the article also addresses the question of how brands and business can actually get in the game, an important point there. So let's have a look at this in further detail. So the new non-gaming metaverses are definitely starting to appear more regularly with the likes of virtual conventions, something that's highly relevant for the B2B markets. These are taking place in the metaverse. On the back of COVID, the whole world of travel stopped, and we spoke about the billions of dollars that were lost in revenue from the elimination of conferences and live forums. Here's a great opportunity to really reconnect and actually a chance for many more brands, and particularly in the B2B space, actually to have the chance to showcase their product and services in these virtual conventions. Attendees can definitely visit multiple stands or booths without actually leaving their home or office, and the size of this audience grows exponentially when you actually move the experience online. There's no question about it. So think about this. We spoke a lot about automotive. Think about how cars can actually show the new models, automotive brands, the potential reach if they move the entire showroom purely into the virtual space, put on those virtual reality glasses, sit in the vehicle and experience and see it from the inside and the out. And we've picked up this. You'll recall we covered this point in depth last year when we actually looked at how the automotive brands were having to really look at new efforts to find traction with audiences through COVID when they couldn't get into the dealerships. And the article makes an important point as branding, marketing, and advertising in the metaverse is so new, Kevin, that here it is that prices are still low to run campaigns in this world. And for me, this is really going to be an interesting space of development and evolution, where these virtual worlds, particularly the likes of the virtual malls, have created multiple layers of advertising opportunity. Your virtual journey through a mall is essentially opportunity of every shop front being an advertising opportunity. understanding a journey through a mall and bringing those totems of media platform back into play as well. There's multiple opportunities of understanding consumer journeys in the real world, bringing it to play in the virtual world, understanding how to retarget them, etc. All of those are advertising opportunities, and the evolution of that price point, I think, is going to see a rapid trajectory over a very, very short period of time. So if you're a brand or a business with an open mind and your target audience spends time in the metaverse, it's definitely time to give it a go. But keep in mind, regular ads won't work. You'll really need to think creatively and use engagement as your main KPI in these worlds, because, yeah, if it's not engaging, that journey through the virtual world is just going to bypass that ad. There'll be no engagement level there. And since this tech is new, Kevin, the measurement and tracking that we're used to with other marketing tactics isn't necessarily defined yet, but it's only going to be a matter of time before those metrics catch up as well. And as you begin to think about the best way to engage with the metaverse, whether it's building your in-house metaverse team or hiring an agency to help you connect and guide you through the process, remember to think big. Even the sky isn't the limit in the metaverse. But going back to my favorite, publisher, old David Sable, remember his Imagine newsletter, his Do It Big consideration that we covered 2 weeks ago. The metaverse is having another go. You need to understand it. There are huge opportunities to be had, some in gaming, some in plain old social connecting. Be there, be aware. It's not replacing life as we know it, though.
Yeah, I think that's the question is, like, how do we use the metaverse and the virtual simulation of anything, and how do we assist and enhance the human life experience? Like when we meet that sort of connection, I think that will work more than trying to replace human life that we live as we know it.
Yeah.
But Craig, as we near to the end of the show, are there any key takeaway points that you can share with the listeners about the metaverse?
Yeah, Kevin, thanks. I'd like to touch on some of the characteristics of the metaverses. I think they definitely are the key takeaway points for today. These being around 6 concepts: boundless, decentralized, persistent, the economic system, and your immersive and social experiences. So let me quickly just briefly expand on each of those points. So in the realm of boundless, there are no barriers between real and digital, and the metaverse is endless, Kevin. From a decentralized characteristic point of view, no single entity has control over the metaverse, and all users actually have individual agency, which is a good point. Persistent, the metaverse is always active and can't be reset or unplugged, and that's really a key point where the moderation aspect needs to come to the fore. From an economic system point of view, digital currencies help power the fully functioning virtual economies. From an immersive point of view, users can achieve a realistic sensory experience with extended reality tools. And from a social experience point of view, the metaverse creates strong social links with other users and AI virtual beings, creating events meant to be shared together. And that's the positive, good side of it. Influencer Marketing Hub also expanded on the characteristics by breaking down the components as follows, Kevin. Reiterating again, always active, exists in real time, players have individual agency, self-contained and fully functioning universe, and contains user-generated content. Probably the most important part of this entire conversation today, the user-generated content, and for brands to understand where they need to be in that conversation around user-generated content. So Darren Sui, CEO of Together Lab, states the following. The metaverse will have 3 key attributes. It needs to have a presence, social presence. It needs to be persistent. When users come back, there has to be some sort of continuity and not a reboot. And it needs to be shared. Multiple people will need to be able to interact in that metaverse. And Kevin, my final comment here is that a true metaverse is a continuous experience, interrogating elements from different platforms and audiences into the single universal place.
Brilliant. Thank you, Craig. Thanks for the summary. I think that's that's a really nice a few areas of consideration, and just speaking through it now, my brain's already kind of going like, if this is the future, what am I even as a brand doing about it, and how do I leverage it? How do I use it? How do I get to know more? So I'm definitely going to be looking up to doing that in the next couple of weeks. But finally, Craig, what do we have lined up for next week's show?
Kevin, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to have another guest journalist on the show next week. Another one of the beneficiaries of the Whole Lot Insurance's Big Ads for Small Business campaign, which ran last year. We've already covered 5 of the 12 companies that were selected to benefit from the program. And I'm looking forward to securing our 6th guest for the show next week. A surprising and fun topic. So, yeah, fingers crossed we can secure that one.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. Guys, if you want to catch the Lunchtime Marketing and Leadership, it's happening every Thursday on ebizradio.com around 12 o'clock. And you can catch us on all major podcast channels. Craig, thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to next week.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed today. Thank you.
Cheers for now. Bye.